Good evening. Welcome to the Midlands African Chamber Power Hour, brought to you by our champion supporter, the Eileen Marion Kaufman Foundation. I'm your host, Shay Olulafe. And like before, I know you missed us last month, but we are back here again. This episode is talking about technology, communication in the wonderful World Wide Web. But before we get to our guest speakers, as is our tradition, we like to showcase the upcoming events in the Midland African Chamber's activities. First and foremost, you do not want to miss this. This is our third year showcasing, bringing out the best of the best when it comes to Black and African businesses. It's our Pitch Black competition. It's going to be July 8th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Tickets are now on sale. You do not want to miss this event. We have our finalists already set. The finalists will be a combination of Green Lexi LLC. You have Cherish Perkins LLC. You also have Local Art Plug, the Serenity Home Solutions LLC, and last but not least, Island Chill. These competitors are competing for cash money, $10,000 to the first place winner. But not just $10,000. There's also another $5,000 to the investor's choice. So that's a total of $15,000 that one of these finalists can win. That's something, that competition you don't want to meet. For those of you who are frequent in watching Shark Tank, this is a similar but less intrusive. This is about showcasing their businesses and pitching in front of not just the audience, but the investors themselves. So July 8th. Don't miss out. This is our third time going for the Pitch Black competition, and we only get better like fine wine as it ages. After Pitch Black, we also have some other events coming up. The Ubuntu Mixer is going to be June 30th at the Elevator in Omaha, Nebraska. That's an event you don't want to miss either. This is an opportunity to celebrate in the accomplishments of the Pitch Black cohort, accelerate cohort as they graduate. For those of you who are not aware, this year the Midlands African Chamber held a cohort, accelerator cohort, for those those businesses that are looking to better themselves in both knowledge and opportunity. And from there, we have this unique opportunity to celebrate their accomplishments as they graduate from that accelerator program. If you missed out, we had a networking event on June 9th. We will be having more networking events, our roll call events coming up. You don't want to miss out on that either. Tomorrow, there's a grand opening, a ribbon cutting for Nouvelle Beauty. That's an event you don't want to miss either, because what we do in the chamber is we empower, which is what we're doing today right now in this power hour. We also champion, meaning our Pitch Black, and champion our businesses to be better. And then we also connect, which is our roll call. But tomorrow, if you show up, you're able to not only help empower a business who has a grand opening, but you're able to connect with that business. You don't want to miss that event either. And that's going to be at 4611 South 96th Street, Suite 118 in Omaha, Nebraska. Last but not least, we also have Native Omaha Days. I apologize, coming to Omaha on June 24th or the 31st. That's another opportunity you don't want to miss. The parade will be June 29th. And if you would like to get involved, please contact the Midlands African Chambers to see how you can get involved. But without any further ado, tonight is a special night. Tonight, we are talking about technology. And for those of you who know me, I'm I may be a millennial, but I feel like an old man saying I'm not the biggest fan of technology. But we have two experts with us today to talk about technology and how technology can help your business grow, scale, and succeed. So without any further ado, let me introduce my good friend Lynn and Andy. Lynn and Andy, welcome to the Power Hour. Thank you so much for being here. Just to jump into it, Lynn, can you give us a little background of what it is that you do and how you do it?
Sure. Yeah, I'm with Cox Business, so I'm going to go over in my presentation a little bit about Cox Communications and the larger company. But I represent Cox Business, which is a division of Cox Communications. I'm based here in Omaha, 114th and Dodge, and my role is I manage a team of sales professionals that call on businesses in Omaha. So my pure role here at Cox is to help businesses solve their problems and use technology to help solve those problems through Cox. And we'll talk a little bit more about what I do and what Cox Business does when we jump into my deck.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. And Andy, can you give us a little preview of what you do?
Absolutely. Thanks for letting me present tonight. I also work for Cox Communications. I'm in computer networking, more specifically fiber to the home, PON services. That's passive optical network. Really, what I do is I configure the devices, routers, switches that bring the internet to your home and also get you back to the internet. I primarily work with residential services, but I do touch some commercial services, the things that Lynn works with, but primarily computer networking, configuring routers, switches, and really getting into the weeds and making the internet work.
So for businesses like myself, where we live and breathe on getting information off the internet, you are our go-to. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
That's what I like to hear. See, right there, that's how we connect. I know who to call now when my internet goes out. So without any further ado, Lynn, let's upload this deck for you and let's get started.
Okay. Well, good. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me and Andy. And I think over the next 40 minutes, we'll be able to tell you everything about Cox. Trying to advance here to the next slide. And it's not letting me advance here. There we go. Okay. So just a quick overview of what both Andy and I are going to do. I think we've had introductions. Thank you for that. I'm going to go through kind of a history, not only of Cox Business and an overview of what we do, but Cox Communications, because I think a lot of people, they don't understand, how big Cox is and some of the history and everything that we're involved in throughout this country. And I think, hopefully you'll have a better understanding of what we do as a company when I get done with that. And then also just specifically go through some of the things that we help businesses with. So some of the products that you use day in and day out with Cox, both in your businesses and your homes. And then I think hopefully, most importantly, I can talk about some of the things that we're doing today to help businesses that you probably don't know we do, or you don't see those a lot. So if I can help you understand better what we can do to help you solve business challenges, and I would consider, that I've done a good job tonight in terms of my presentation. And then Andy's going to pick up and talk about technology trends and Cox solutions, and then just open up to questions. And I think, we kind of talked about, if you have a question, certainly just jump in and ask, and we want to make it as interactive as possible. So with that, we'll go to the next slide here. So talking about Cox itself, Cox Enterprises, Inc., or what we call CEI, is a privately held company in Atlanta, Georgia. It's family owned. It's private. It's been around since the late 1800s. And I work for Cox Business. So the logo over there on the left is Cox Business. And then Cox Enterprises, you'll see that logo a lot in what we do. And Cox Communications is part of that. So under Cox Communications, there's Cox Business and there's Cox Residential. And then we have Cox Automotive. And Cox Automotive is probably the best kept secret with Cox. I mean, some of the things that you see, we're the largest auction house in the country. We own Kelley Blue Book. We own practically every electronic, I won't say every, but quite a bit of the electronic automotive applications that you have on your phone. So we're very, very much part of your life when it comes to buying and selling cars, whether it's on the wholesale level or on the app level. And then Cox Media, is an organization that we still have on the media side. So providing media applications to customers. So just kind of a high level overview. And for some of you, it's probably news that when you look at your cable bill, you probably don't like, well, holy moly, these people do more than just cable and internet and phone. So just a little bit of a background on where we started. 1898, James Cox actually started Cox with his first newspaper in Ohio. He bought the Dayton Evening News and just grew the company from there and merged from publishing and into the radio business and into the communications business and into technology and branched out from there. We're a $20 billion company today. And again, we're privately held, so there's not a lot of news that you see on Cox, but we're in practically every area of the communications business out there in the country today. 1920, just kind of a little factoid here, is that James Cox was governor of Ohio, and he ran as the Democratic nominee for president, and FDR was actually his running mate. Obviously, he didn't win that election, but it's interesting to go back and look at that one of our greatest presidents was the running mate of our founder. And then today, we're privately held, as I said, focused on connectivity, mobility, sustainability, with $20 billion in annual revenues, and we have 50,000 employees. So we're a fairly large organization. So I tell the people that work for me, when we talk to businesses, our chief goal and our obligation really is to help businesses through challenges. So whether it's a Fortune 500 company or whether it's a small business with 20 or 30 employees or 5 employees, the challenges are the same. It's how do we grow our business? How do we grow our revenue? How do we keep our revenue? And how do we use technology? And that's more and more important today than ever. How do we use technology to accomplish those things, to keep our customers and to grow our customers and to stay competitive? So that's really what our challenge is with Cox, is how do we help our customers with those business challenges versus selling them a service? How do we help that technology and those services accomplish the business goals of our customer? So again, we were established in 1962 for Cox Communications. We're the largest private broadband company in the U.S. Our approach to our customers is how do we get close to our customers and understand, what their needs are, not just from a technology perspective, but from a business challenges perspective. And by doing that, we hope that we can establish that trust. That's more than just a vendor trust. It's a partnership that businesses can really rely on us to help them solve business problems. We have over 7 million customers across 18 states. We've invested $15 billion in infrastructure over the last decade. I'm not going to go over the 160 products that we have and that we've launched since 2019, but I am going to go over some of the more ones that we're talking to our customers about today, just so you have an idea of what we offer. And I wanted to cover this slide because I think it says a lot about our commitment to Nebraska, to Omaha, to our customers in this market. We have a $960 million impact on the city of Omaha. We have 801 total employees here in Nebraska. Our payroll is $47 million. Jobs supported 3,422. We have a lot of contractors that work for us, a lot of vendors that help support us in our operations. We give $1.2 million in charitable contributions to the community, and we do that very quietly. We do it through our business relationships with our customers and supporting causes that they believe in and they need help with. And we do it in some cases, publicly through large, organizations and large events in Omaha. But we try to give back, and that's a very, very big part of Cox. It's giving back both from a revenue perspective and from a time and talent perspective. We're really encouraged as employees to give back to the community in terms of our dollars, in terms of our time for causes for the community. So just kind of somewhat sets us apart, I think, from some of our competitors. Again, we employee volunteering, 900 hours of employee volunteering, $2.7 billion of infrastructure investment in the community. We pay $35 million in taxes every year to the city, and over 5,773 broadband network miles in the footprint, which is largely the city of Omaha and outlying areas, Council Bluffs area.
Lynn, I just want to
Sure.
make sure I heard you correctly. That number for taxes is just to the city of Omaha?
Yes, this is just in the footprint of Omaha, Council Bluffs in our network area.
So we're not even talking like Nebraska. We're talking smaller.
We're talking just within the footprint. Now, there may be state of Nebraska taxes that are paid through that $35 million, but it's largely, I mean, we're a franchise, so we have franchise fees that we pay back to the communities, and we have, franchise agreements. Obviously, our largest is with the city of Omaha, but we have franchise agreements with every entity within that footprint, and there's multiple franchise entities. So a percentage of everything, every revenue we generate goes back to the communities and franchise fees, in addition to taxes. So we're very well vested in terms of what we do to support the community.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So let's get into kind of what we do, and I just if anybody wants to put comments in the chat, I'd be interested to know when you think of Cox, what do you think of? And I ask our customers this because I want we do so much more than I think what our customers think we do. But typically when people think of Cox, they think of their home internet, they think of their home voice. If they run a small business, they think of their internet connection. Maybe it's their Wi-Fi connection. Maybe they have a managed services with us. And then of course, cable TV. It's Cox Cable and the TV and digital video that we provide as well. But we do a lot more than that today. I mean, obviously, just kind of going through this slide, we have internet, high-speed bandwidth, fiber internet, optical internet. Andy's going to talk a little bit about the differences between these, business class and premium internet. What we offer is a wide variety. I mean, internet, we kind of take it for granted like it's water or electricity, but internet can be, it can be a best effort internet, or it can be a dedicated internet. And there's a big difference between that. If you run a business and you need constant connectivity, and at night, when everybody's on, gaming and, watching Netflix, if it's a shared internet, sometimes that, you probably experience that can go, you can get intermittent outages. So we offer different types of internet depending on what the business requirements are. On the voice side, we have hosted IP voice services. We have cloud-based voice today, WebEx integration, SIP trunking, which is a digital form of voice today, and then our traditional PRI and digital trunk services. So from a business perspective, we offer everything a business could really want. If you're a Microsoft customer and you're using Teams, and a lot, over the pandemic, many businesses migrated to Microsoft Teams, for example. We do voice integration to Teams, so we work very, very closely with that. Up in the upper middle, TV, obviously, kind of our initial bread and butter, digital and HD video services. We do business packages, sports, news and information, bulk video, HD free to guests for hotels. On the networking side, we'll do, and this is more in my space as a business manager, Metro Ethernet, connecting, for example, branch offices of banks or car dealerships, whatever you might want, that it may have multiple different branches out there that need connectivity. Wavelength services, which is really the high bandwidth wavelength. IPVPN and SD-WAN are two kind of networking technologies that we use a lot today for our customers. SD-WAN is, I use a lot of acronyms, so I'll try not to use as many acronyms, but SD-WAN stands for software defined wide area networking. So it's the latest thing that we're talking to customers about, and it's the latest thing that customers are utilizing. And it's basically a box that we put out there that's really no bigger than a pizza box, and it allows you to connect, internet, video, voice over one device in a secure environment. So we offer security layered on top of that, and it's all powered by an internet connection. So technology has really, really rapidly advanced over even the last, 2 or 3 years, where it used to be big, heavy internet or big, heavy private line circuits, metro Ethernet circuits connected to locations. Now it's all virtual. Everything's virtual and everything's in the cloud. So that brings me to my next upper right is cloud. You've heard cloud probably a lot in terms of the services that are in the cloud. You have your big hyperscalers like AWS, Amazon Web Services. You hear a lot about that. A lot of businesses use AWS, and we work with AWS to help customers get into the public cloud too. But we offer our own cloud services as well. So we offer virtual desktops, data encryption, security protocols. We offer disaster recovery and backup services into our own private cloud. So those are some of the things that you probably didn't know we did as an organization. And honestly, it's some of the things that most of our customers, even our smaller customers, are asking us about is how can you help me get into the cloud and get away from having to buy, servers and maintain licensing and, constantly having to upgrade equipment and services every 3 or 4 years. So those are some of the things that we really help customers with a lot. And then managed services really kind of talks a little bit about that as well. We offer, in all of our managed services, whether it's managed Wi-Fi or managed security, we're responsible for everything. So it's as a service in an operating budget environment versus a capital expense. You pay a monthly recurring charge for managed Wi-Fi or managed cloud, and we're responsible for everything else. We're responsible for making sure the licenses are upgraded, the equipment is upgraded. You don't have to worry about any of that. And a lot of businesses want to go to that. They want to focus on their business and not on, managing IT. And that's where we can really help customers if that's the route that you choose to go. So I wanted to extend
before you go. I just want to make sure I understood the managed properly. Basically, it's you're outsourcing all of your, whether equipment or your router, your Wi-Fi, to Cox.
Yes. Yeah. So for example, let's use Wi-Fi because that's one everybody uses. If you choose to use Wi-Fi, for example, if you've got a business and you have maybe 10,000 square feet in your business and over a couple different floors, 10, 15 employees, and you choose to do Wi-Fi yourself, you have to put the AP routers in place. You have to manage those routers. If they break, then you got to either fix them or find somebody that can fix them. About every 5 years, you have to upgrade those routers, those AP devices, and put new ones in. So there's a lot, involved in kind of managing that whole Wi-Fi infrastructure. If you do it with us, we do the whole thing. We put them in place. We do the design, engineering. We make sure the coverage is correct. We manage it for you, and we charge you a monthly fee for that.
So and that also includes the equipment. It's not a matter of the person.
Yes.
Business has to go out and buy the equipment, and then you manage. You're bringing everything in.
No, we manage. In fact, we only do it that way. We only manage our own equipment. So we buy the equipment, we buy the AP routers, we integrate it into your internet connection, and we manage the whole
thing. Just making sure that I heard it correct. That no one has to become an IT expert in order to get on the internet. That's what I heard.
And that is correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And that's kind of the model for all of our managed services. So in all of our managed services, the goal is it's an operating expense. We take care of everything, and your customers do not have to do anything. So when you look at the cloud, the cloud environment, this is an example of 7 different cloud services that we provide. So desktop as a service. So if you have multiple computers, if you have a business and you have, let's say, 15 employees and you have 15 laptops that you have to deploy to those employees. And, you know, every 5 years you have to upgrade them, you know, and buy new ones and manage the security and the applications and everything on those. What we're talking to customers about is we do that for you. I mean, desktop as a service basically is you have a screen, you have a dumb terminal essentially, and you don't have to upgrade those PCs every few years. All the information, all the applications, all the software resides in our data centers in the cloud. And we manage the users, we manage the security, we manage everything for you. So that's what desktop as a service is. Server is infrastructure as a service. So if you have, you know, multiple servers that are running your own applications, that might be in a data center that you have, or it might be in a, you know, a larger co-location data center here in Omaha, we will take care of that and get you out of that, basically that equipment business. So we take those servers and you can essentially decommission them, take the applications and roll them up into our shared infrastructure in the cloud. And you no longer have the responsibility for managing equipment at all. So same kind of concept, only it's on the infrastructure side. We also do backup and recovery. So if you do have an outage and you want to make sure that all your information is backed up, we'll do that. We'll go back to a recovery point and allow you to recover all your data services. And backup, which is right kind of below it, same thing. I mean, we can back up everything in the cloud, and you tell us how much you want to back up, the storage you want backed up, and we do that for you. So you no longer have to worry about, gosh, I have all these servers locally. Do I have them backed up? Do I have all my data protected? What would happen if my servers just went away and I didn't have them backed up? I'd lose all this customer proprietary information. So a lot of things that, you know, a lot of businesses just don't want to focus on. They want to focus on their business and let IT you know, be run by professionals. So kind of going back up there, security in the upper right, we provide security service, so managed firewall, so firewall in the cloud, managed email. So we put a security service on your email that we sell. So, you know, I don't know if any of you have ever been the victim of a phishing attack, but they're getting more and more advanced and extremely, you know, a lot of the ransomware that you see today, almost all the ransomware attacks that occur today that you hear about come from a phishing attack, from somebody sending a rogue email to a user that has an attachment. And that rogue email may come from the CEO of your organization. And there may be one little letter off in that email, and you just don't notice it because they are so sophisticated in their attacks on businesses that your user, your employee, maybe even you will click on that link because you think it's a normal email coming from a business partner or a peer or your CEO. And believe me, it happens more often than not, even to organizations that, you know, should know better than to click a link like that. But what our security does is it grabs that email and it prevents it from even getting sent because of the way that it's set up. It sees it as a phishing attack. So those are some of the things that we do. Office 365, we sell the licensing for that. We manage that. So those are some of the things that we can help you with. So at the end of the day, I mean, what we really do today is we hopefully can help a small business, manage everything from their internet connectivity, their voice connectivity, their any TV and video that they need in their organization, plus all the back office applications and servers and security and everything that's getting so complicated and so risky today. We can take over for you. So those are some of the things that you know, we do today that we didn't do 4 or 5 years ago. I'll just go through this real quickly because I know we're kind of running short on time, but yeah, you know us for exceptional voice, internet, and TV, but we're also a leading development in the healthcare and hospitality system. So I just wanted to real quickly go through a couple businesses that we have, and I won't cover cloud because we just talked about that, but Cox Edge and Cox ProSite, basically edge computing. Some of you have probably heard of edge computing. It's pushing computing out to the edge of the network. It's where our customers are. So, for example, if you are if you sell, if your business is all online, let's say it's all online, and most of your customers, and you're here in Omaha, but most of your customers are in, the Southwest, Southern California, and the Northeast, and yet you have your servers here in Omaha. You want, from a connectivity perspective, you want your customers to be close to that computing device. You want your page to load quickly, immediately, and you want to be able to push content out to the very edge of the network where your customers reside. And we do that. We do that through Cox Edge, and we're able to help not just healthcare companies, but any company that's really doing online marketing and online selling. We can help bring your customers closer to that edge computing device. Cox ProSite in the bottom right. Some of the things that we do for the healthcare vertical is managed badges. So patient safety and employee safety. We will provide tracking and monitoring systems and safety alerts for employees of hospitals, for example. So that's some of the things that Cox ProSite does. And then in the upper right, Hospitality Network is a business that is owned by Cox that focuses purely on the hospitality business. So they're based in Las Vegas. We work with all the large casinos in Las Vegas. If you were watching the Stanley Cup, we manage the T-Mobile Arena. We manage everything in that arena, from the internet connectivity to the displays. We manage that entire facility. So that's just an example of some of the things that we do beyond just what I talked about. I will, this is kind of, I think this is my last slide, but Blueprint RF is another division of Cox, and they're kind of in the hospitality business, but we manage, basically what Blueprint RF does is manage Wi-Fi for the hospitality business, hospitality industry. And they work with a lot of the big hotel chains that are out there, and they work very closely with our hospitality networks team as well. And then on the upper right, Unite Private Networks is a company that we've owned a position of for about 7 years. And they're what's called a dark fiber company. So for larger businesses that want just fiber connectivity between point A and point B, large data centers, for example, that provide their own internet connectivity at a certain point, but they just want a fiber network to connect all their locations together. We help design and build and maintain that. A lot of, you see that with a lot of hospitals, a lot of data centers in particular use dark fiber. Large entities will use that. And then Trapalo, I will tell you, is a company that we just sold literally about 2 weeks ago after I submitted this deck for your review. But so I won't cover that, but that was a healthcare business that we owned as well.
So what do you mean by dark fiber?
So dark fiber is an industry term. So if you look at just two different data centers, for example, typically when we sell an internet circuit or a metro Ethernet, we will manage the light terminating equipment on each end of that circuit. So the fiber comes in and you plug it into a device, you plug it into a piece of equipment, and we manage that in a traditional managed environment. But what a lot of customers like, and it's usually the larger, more complex customers that have people in place that manage this, is they tell us, hey, we have all the equipment. We have the light terminating equipment. We'll manage the bandwidth on our side. So we'll go, we could, as a customer that has dark fiber, they can go up to 100 gig of internet, or they can go down to 1 gig of internet, and they can dial that up and down on their equipment. And we just provide literally the fiber. So we call it dark because the customer lights it up. They light it up when they plug it into their equipment. and they define how they want to use that. So we no longer define it as, hey, you have this much megabit of bandwidth. They define it for themselves. They're just saying, you give us the fiber and we'll dial up and down the internet circuit, whatever our business needs are.
Okay, thank you.
So, but that gives you kind of an overview of what we do. Hopefully that wasn't too much detail, but I wanted to have an opportunity. First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to connect with you today and talk to you about what we can do, and very, very eager to help your business in any way that we can. And hopefully I was able to illustrate some things that we do that not only you didn't know we did, but things that maybe you need that we can help you with.
I heard about the managed things that very much for people who are technologically illiterate like myself would love to be able to say, hey, you just do all of this. Here's a check, be done. I think that's ideal. Last but not least, if somebody were looking to find you and to discuss more opportunities about what they heard today, how do they get a hold of you?
You can reach me, and I can get you to the right group. And my email is lynn.ehrman. I don't know if you want to put that in the chat, but it's lynn.ehrman@cox.com. And I can get that to the right team. We have multiple teams here that manage customers in Omaha. And it probably wouldn't be my team. It might be my team, but if it's not, I have two other peers that I work with that call on different levels of businesses in Omaha.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lynn. We really appreciate it. And now moving on to our good friend, Andy.
All right. I'm going to share my slides here. One moment. Okay. So as Shay introduced me earlier, I'm Andy. I work with Cox Network Engineering. I've been with Cox for 17 years. I started in customer care, taking calls for residential customers that had problems with their cable TV or their internet, and did that for a couple years. And then I moved over to their network operations center. We did network monitoring there. We'd watch for alarms and critical events on the network, and then we would dispatch fixed agents accordingly to that. And then in 2011, I got into the network engineering group and been there since. Network engineering is really just working on the devices, computers, routers, switches that really make the internet work, make all those devices interconnected and talk to each other. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with in your house, you probably have a Wi-Fi switch or Wi-Fi router. I really just work on much larger scale versions of that, get into command line, do configurations, upgrade those things that, just like your Windows computer or Mac computer, they have operating systems on them. We upgrade those operating systems. We manage IP addresses. An IP address is, think of it as it's your address on the internet. So every device that's connected to the internet has an IP address, much like the post office can find your house with your street address. That's how a computer can find another computer on the internet, is with an IP address. We manage those things. We also have to keep a close eye on that. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of IP version 4 versus IP version 6. When engineers and scientists first created the internet, they only built so many IP addresses, and we eventually got to the point where we exhausted those IP addresses. So they skipped IPv5 and went to IPv6. And IPv6 is much larger. It's 2 to the power of 128 addresses. So I think they say something like every square inch of Earth could have 1 million IP addresses. And now, we see the Internet of Things that they talk about, where literally your refrigerator, your TV, your washing machine all connects to the internet, and all those devices need an IP address. So IPv6 has really helped us get there. But it's been a bit of a transition. So a lot of things still use IPv4, and a big part of our job is monitoring and managing that IP space to make sure that we have just enough out there, not too much so we're not wasting it, but enough so that customers don't end up facing outages because there's not an IP address available for them. So if you're ever interested in computer networking, Cisco offers a great program, their CCNA program, and that's really a good way to get a start into computer networking. There's a lot of resources online with the Cisco CCNA, a lot of free resources, just looking at YouTube, or even Cisco themselves offers a lot of free resources out there. So if you are interested in computer networking, that's a good place to start, is with that Cisco CCNA program. So when I first got into engineering at Cox, I started on their cable RF platform. They call that technology DOCSIS. So if you have a cable modem in your house, the coax line, the RF line connects to your house, and that's the line with the stinger in the middle of it, what you typically think of with cable TV, cable internet, and that connects to a cable modem. And you may have a standalone modem and then connect your Wi-Fi router to that. Or what we're seeing a lot of days are Cox offers their panoramic Wi-Fi, where that cable modem and Wi-Fi router is all just one unit. But that's where I got my start, is working on the routers and switches behind that Cox DOCSIS network, the RF network. But about 5 years ago, Cox started getting invested in fiber to the home, where we are now deploying a fiber network to residential houses. Much like Lynn's Cox Business team delivers fiber to business customers, Cox is now deploying fiber internet to residential customers. And it's not everywhere, but we are building, any new builds we do, we're doing fiber, and we're starting to go back in other parts of town and build over with fiber. So I'll just
not to be a stickler for this, but I mean, I'm just thinking about where my house is, and is there any possibility? How can I find out if fiber optics would be in my neighborhood anytime soon?
Actually, if you just go to cox.com and look at their residential internet, you can put your address in, and they'll let you know if fiber is available. It's actually right at the top of the page there.
Well, you said available. Well, I guess my question is, when, if it's not currently available, when would I know it, when it would be available?
They're going through different parts of town. I don't know what their total time is when all of Omaha will be covered with that, but that is their goal. We are, fiber really is the future, and we are working towards that. So I don't know exactly when every part of town will be complete, and I haven't really heard any numbers on that, but that's definitely the direction they're going.
Okay.
So I just wanted to go over some of the residential services. So I work mostly with residential for the devices that I configure and deploy, although we do host a lot of the CB services as well, but the part of the business I work mostly with is residential. So Cox offers a lot of different residential services to help you connect with your family, your friends, your home, and even work. So for family and home, I mentioned earlier, Cox has the panoramic Wi-Fi. We've really brought the Wi-Fi into our service package. It used to be, a couple years back, we just gave you a cable modem and it was up for customers to connect their own Wi-Fi router and make that work. And, a lot like Shay was talking about on the business side, not everyone is, technical savvy with that kind of stuff. And, there is a bit of getting used to setting that stuff up. And a lot of times we'd have customers call up and they say, well, our internet's not working. And we'd say, well, it's your Wi-Fi. We can see your modem, we can see your online, it's probably your Wi-Fi router. And, I think we saw a big opportunity there to, provide that end-to-end service for residential customers. So Cox launched the panoramic Wi-Fi, and we even now have our newer model of set-top boxes will utilize that panoramic Wi-Fi, and you can now have wireless set-top boxes. So in the past, you used to have to, have a cable outlet near your TV so you could hook up your cable box. Well, now with this Wi-Fi service, you can essentially have your cable box anywhere in the house you have a TV. So that's really improved that for us.
Is that what you mean by panoramic? Is that the fact of the router itself is powerful enough so that it can get everything in your house versus having to plug it in?
So it has a potential. If you have some dead spots in your house, they can get extenders that will, you literally put them in power outlets, and they'll, if you have some bad spots in your house, they'll extend that Wi-Fi reach. So yes, it can definitely hit every part of your house, but if the base unit itself doesn't necessarily capture everything, they have some solutions for that.
Okay, I guess my ultimate question then was, what is the difference between the panoramic Wi-Fi versus just a regular Wi-Fi?
Oh, so yeah, good question. So that's really just Cox's branding on their version of Wi-Fi that will cover the entire house. But really, yeah, it's the same Wi-Fi you're used to if you've ever set up your own Wi-Fi. But Cox will, they'll stand behind that. It can reach everything in the house, and they'll help you make that work. And I'm sure everyone's familiar with, Cox started as a cable company with television, and like I mentioned before, we can now do the wireless set-top boxes. You don't have to have that cable outlet right next to your TV. And we're also, a lot of the popular streaming apps are now supported on our set-top boxes. So Disney Plus, Netflix, you can now, activate, access those directly from your Cox set-top box. And we've all, and for a long time, we've also offered home phone services. And we also offer smart home automation, cameras. So, if you want to turn on a group of lights, you can have smart outlets and link that to an app on your phone and do home automation. And also Cox residential internet services would be ideal if you work from home. With the onset of the pandemic, a lot of people in technology positions went home and worked from home if that made sense for, your job and your company. I've been working from home for the last 3 years, and, it has its ups and downs, but, Cox Internet really makes that easy transition to work from home. If your company uses, like Lynn was saying earlier, Microsoft Teams or a VPN or WebEx, any of those services, it's really plug and play. You don't have to set anything up special with your Cox residential internet service to make that work. That's all seamless. And then on to the fiber to the home that I primarily work with now. As I said, Cox is seeing this as, a path to the future. Fiber will ultimately allow us to go faster. Right now, you can get up to 1 gig down on fiber. Some customers in areas as we're deploying it, you can see up to 2 gig down. And this fiber platform that our newest fiber platform that we're working on now, it has a lifespan where eventually we could give customers up to 10 gig down. And initially, when we rolled out the fiber services, 5-6 years ago, it was data only, so internet only. The fiber to the home platform now supports all of the Cox residential services. So your internet, your panoramic Wi-Fi, your IPTV, your cable TV, your home automation, all those things are now supported on the fiber to the home platform. And as I was saying, we're growing fiber to the home. It's in any new construction, we're doing fiber to customers' homes, and we're also expanding into existing areas. And we're also expanding into some communities outside of our traditional Cox footprint, where we have our traditional RF network. For example, in Nebraska, we've expanded to Blair, Arlington, and Kennard, Nebraska, where we've built residential services with fiber only, no RF services in those communities, just fiber. And that's a great opportunity for those communities. Some of those communities, it's their first chance to utilize high-speed internet. And the good thing about the transport methods we're using to get to those communities, it's a lot of the same, it allows a lot of the same services Cox Business would want to use to reach those communities as well. So expanding to those rural communities, we can offer residential and Cox Business services. So that's been a really good opportunity for Cox and our customers. And I just kind of wanted to briefly go over just some of the different ways we can reach those communities. And I apologize, this slide may be a little technical, but we can reach up to 60 kilometers with an OCML MDM combination. That's just a type of technology, a MUX, DMUX for fiber. We have another technology called ROADM that'll get us even further, up to 80 kilometers. And then this slide doesn't show it, but we can actually do, like Lynn was talking about, dark fiber to these communities where we can go up to 100 kilometers. And then what it would look like in those communities, it could be a pedestal on the ground. There could be a device that hangs, up on a pole. Strand mounted is what they call that. We may put a cabinet in a community for a medium-sized community, or some of the larger communities, we may put a small facility in there. So the rural expansion, that's been really exciting. I've spent a lot of time working on that recently. There's also been some government encouragement to help us get those services out to those new communities. So that was really all I had today. I don't know if there's any questions or follow-up.
Actually, there is, but I think this one is actually geared towards Lynn. The question is, what are your perspectives around AI, for example, ChatGPT, and what is your best practice or policy, if any, regarding the adoption of AI in the conduct of business?
Yeah, I can talk to that, because there's two different angles to that, and whoever put that comment in just nailed it, because there's the policy that businesses need to get out. If they haven't, they need to very quickly get that out to their users. And ChatGPT, or GPT-4, which is the latest version of ChatGPT, is a product of OpenAI. So OpenAI, which is largely owned by Microsoft, is the company that's developing ChatGPT. And they're, most people consider OpenAI the leader in AI, and that's where ChatGPT comes from. But if you sign up for ChatGPT, and I have a ChatGPT account, and I don't think you can get GPT-4 yet. I think there's a waiting list for that, but you can sign up for ChatGPT, and it's free. But if you read the fine print, and nobody reads the fine print on the user acceptance, everything you put into ChatGPT has access to. So they're basically going to scrape the internet for every bit of information that their users have And that's what they're going to be used to build these models, right? So it's a very, very powerful tool, and we use it. I mean, our marketing, it's an interesting story. Our marketing manager used ChatGPT to build a speech, a welcoming speech for IT symposium that we held here a few weeks ago. And it was a beautiful, I mean, it was just an amazing welcoming, 1,000 words, and ChatGPT did that. So those are the types of things that you can use it for. And I think internally, every business is going to use ChatGPT to power customer service and fulfillment and everything that, people are doing today. But, AI could probably do it more efficiently, arguably, and better, and way, way more cost efficient than it's being done today. So it's going to drive. I mean, some people have said, AI is bigger than the internet. I agree with that. I mean, it's the second industrial revolution, and it's going to change the way we do business and the way we do our lives. But the policy that's out there that the businesses really need to get out is don't share anything that you wouldn't normally share. If you have customer proprietary information, you have internal, whatever it is that you're trying to get something built, that OpenAI to build a model around. Just know that if you share that information, it's no longer private; it's publicly held information. So by, in this case, OpenAI. So great, that's a great question. But
yeah, I know from a legal standpoint, there have been some reports of attorneys using GPT or AI to write briefs and research, and only to come back and find that their citations were fictitious. So simply because you use AI does not necessarily mean it's accurate 100%. Is that a fair statement?
I mean, I'm not an AI expert, but I would say, whatever is out there in the model is, it could be accurate, it could not be. But I think, the main direction that I think all businesses are giving to their employees is just don't share information in a ChatGPT account that you normally wouldn't, that you don't want out there in the public. So, and yeah, to your point, if you're getting information, is it accurate? Is it not? I guess I don't know the answer to that, but
this is why, this is about doing due diligence, and my attorney hat goes on and says, you better be careful of giving up, sensitive, confidential, or even intellectual property. Those are all things that through technology you could potentially be waiving and allowing, the rest of the world to see and no longer have recourse because you went that route.
Right. That's spot on. Yeah. Good advice.
So I must admit, I now use ChatGPT to help me come up with bedtime stories for my 4-year-old. And it's pretty neat. I just give him 5 pieces of information, and it'll write a great bedtime story.
So the real question is, does your 4-year-old actually go to sleep after the story?
You know what? He actually, I try to make the stories very personal, maybe about something he did recently, or about, his brother or we got a new puppy recently, and he loves them better than any book I've ever read him. It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, it is a powerful.
There goes our fairy tale stories of the past.
Yeah.
I will say, kind of related to AI, we're seeing a lot of automation on the network engineering side. That's where there's, programmability behind a lot of the tasks that we have done in the past. And I think there's goods and bads to that. For the mundane, simple tasks that we have to do over and over again, it's great for those. But when the easy button doesn't work, we still have to know how to do it. And I worry that some of the new people coming on get too reliant on the easy button, and when that breaks, they don't know what to do.
Yes. Any last words of thoughts from either one of you?
None from me other than thank you very much. Appreciate it. I know we've taken a lot of your time, but we appreciate you having us present tonight, and hopefully you know more about the technical side of what Andy does and the business side of what we help customers with. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, that's another edition of our Power Hour, brought to you by our champion support of the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation. Thank you, Lynn and Andy, so much for being a part of this. Once again, we have Pitch Black coming up on July 8th. That's an event you don't want to miss. And by the way, Cox is our supporter. So again, we want to thank Cox and thank Lynn and Andy for being with us tonight. Once again, this is the Power Hour. Come join our tribe.